What's up? Welcome back to Ask Dan Anything with Brojo, and today we've got a question for those of you who struggle with socializing because you find that a lot of other people just aren't very interesting and you have to kind of force yourself to be interested. Here's what one of my clients sent through. I can't tell if I find someone boring or if I'm not being curious enough and genuinely listening, or I'm not expressing myself and that's why I'm bored. Maybe I'm just overcomplicating things with socializing. In my head, conversations are two people reflectively responding to each other and trying to understand each other. I feel like what is happening with me is that I'm concentrating so hard on making statements that I'm not listening properly, and that my statements can be judgmental, especially when expressing opinions, rather than curious. However, sometimes when I'm curious about people, I still find them boring to talk to. This one's actually come up quite a lot. People who have struggled with socializing, making friends, dating, even when they overcome some of their social anxieties, they still find other people just generally uninteresting, and I want to give some insights into that. First off, I've got to acknowledge some people just won't be of interest to you. No matter who you are, there's going to be some people out there you're just not interested in. I mean, I am hugely fascinated by human psychology, and I find all brains interesting, but there's still some people I'm bored talking to. Okay, usually it's not because of who they are, but because of how limited they are in their expression. But before you decide someone's definitely boring, you've got to figure out your own shit first. You need to be sure that they were given the best possible chance to express themselves and that you were being as honest as possible before you can come to the conclusion that they are actually boring or that you are bored. It's not their job to be interesting. Alright, it's your job to be interested. That's what will make them interesting. It goes in that order. You interested, them interesting. Okay, you can't wait for someone to stimulate you. You need to provoke them into stimulation. With the guy who's sending this through, what's coming through clearly is he's inside his head too much and at the wrong times. So when they're speaking and having their turn, he's inside his head, instead of listening to them and paying attention to them and letting go of whatever comes up. It's one of the biggest things that I struggled with when I developed my own social abilities, was when someone else is speaking, all these ideas and thoughts and worries and assumptions and planned things jump into my head, and to just let them go. So they'll be speaking and I'll be like, oh, I've got a good thing to say. And they're still speaking, I have to let go of that good thing to say and I might forget it forever. It's really important to let that stuff go so that you keep paying attention to them. How can you possibly find someone interesting if you're not paying attention to them? How can they be interesting if you're not interested in the first place? If you're not there to observe, right? So those things will pop into your head and you can't stop that from happening. But rather than going, oh my God, I'll hold on to that thing, just let it go and go, okay, what are they saying? Just keep bringing your attention back to the person, watching their body language. You know, what are they really saying underneath what they're saying? Trying to dig in and explore with your mind rather than staying in here and trying to plan what you're going to say next. Another thing to keep in mind is they're going to be as open as you are interested. Okay? So if you're holding back and you're not paying attention to them, they're going to block off. So if you're seeing a lot of people, they seem to stay superficial with you and boring and talk about mundane shit with you, there's a really good chance it's because the way you present yourself makes them feel unsafe. They don't feel like they can open up. It's amazing to me is when I started really paying attention to people, especially this little trick that I'm sharing in this video, which is to try and figure out what they're not saying. So I'll be really paying attention, like what are they really trying to say? They could feel that and people just open up to me. And these days, most people have really deep conversations with me. Now, some people still stay superficial, even though I try my best to let them open up. I can't do anything about that. I just move on to somebody else. Now, one of the points he makes is when I do try to be honest, I come across as judgmental when it's about my opinions. There's a difference between being truthful and being judgmental. Okay? Honesty is not about being judgmental. Judgments are lazy. It's where you assume a truth and you speak it as though it's fact rather than opinion. One of the things you can do to start expressing yourself more creatively and make it more interesting to have a conversation is instead of just saying the judgment, talk about the thinking process that led to the judgment. So for example, rather than saying, oh, you're too slow or you're stupid or that's a dumb idea, You can say something like, when you said that, I immediately had this assumption about you and about your intelligence, and it just led me to this really judgmental place. And that's much more fascinating than just saying the judgment. Talk about being judgmental rather than expressing the judgment itself. Okay, that's a much deeper, more vulnerable sense of honesty. Let them see how you think rather than just telling them what you think. All right, you want to be really honest with someone, let them see the process. Explain your inner experience. So when you are expressing yourself, talk about what happened to you while they were talking. You can even start a sentence with, while you were saying that, and you can tell them about the experience you were having. So rather than like, oh my God, I can't think of something good to say, you can say to them, while you were talking, I couldn't even pay attention because I was so nervous, I was trying to think of something good to say. That's going to lead to a deeper conversation than you just coming up with something good to say, right? Tell them about the process. If you're struggling to pay attention to them, if you're finding them boring, make the assumption it's because you're struggling to stay interested. Them being interesting isn't the problem, it's your ability to pay attention that's the problem. So tell them about that struggle. Tell them about how it's hard for you to pay attention. Tell them about how you're stuck in your head. Tell them about how you're overthinking things. That will create a deep conversation. Or they won't like you. Either way, you're off the hook from boredom. Take your time to respond. A lot of people just think of something good to say. Come on, stop talking. Finally, stop talking. Here's something good to say. And you're just trying to throw stuff out as quickly as possible. It's urgently, keep them interested. Try and pay attention while they're talking. Then when they're finished, leave it for a couple of seconds and let your brain just naturally catch up and come up with something to say. Instead of trying to come up with something while they're talking, you're allowed for a silence to happen. Silences aren't boring. Okay? Automatic pilot conversations are boring. And they happen when someone's trying to avoid a silence. So let silence happen. Let it drag out if it has to. And if someone really is being boring, if you're applying all this stuff, you're saying the most vulnerable things you can about yourself, you're paying attention to them as much as possible, you're trying to see behind what they're saying to what they're really saying, and showing them, what you think you've seen, and that's still not creating an interesting conversation, then call them out on being boring. Okay? You can say stuff like, come on man, tell me what you're really thinking. Tell me what you're really feeling. Don't pretend you care about the weather. Come on man, what's really going on for you? Open up. You can challenge them to go deeper. You don't have to hope that they will. Say, go deeper, because it's boring. You can even say the words, that's boring to me. You don't have to be rude with this, just honest. Say dude, I get that you love being an accountant, but that's just totally not in my field. It's boring to me. Tell me something else about you, something real. Tell me about your family. Tell me about the real you. If you've got certain things you are interested in, then guide them towards those things. Say, you know what, I'd love to know about your taste in music. Rather than I hope they stop talking about their work and they start talking about music. Guide them there. You want them to be interesting? Take them to the place that's interesting for you. Okay? Go give that a go. Alright? Try and be more reflective with your listening. Really listen to them. And then try to reflect what you heard back. Use reflective listening techniques, which I've talked about in some of my members only stuff. If you guys want that stuff, just message me, dan@brojo.co.nz. Those are private videos. And I can talk about how you can get access to those. Hopefully this helps. Leave your comments below if you're someone who finds you get easily bored and you want some help with that. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time.